one of the many observations that can be made about people from rural or deep rural Jamaica is how strong certain vowel sounds are, or even some consonants. And this is because people from rural Jamaica would have had less interaction from people from Britain or any other non-West African groups. So therefore, the same pronunciation pattern that was pervasive in West Africa would be among the speech patterns of people from deep rural Jamaica. And that's why the further away you go from Kingston, the more more different and stronger the patois is. Unfortunately for us Jamaicans, we have adopted this British and colonial narrative to call people who speak patois the furthest away from English chatbad. Chatbad isn't really a thing. Let me paint this picture for you. If you speak your language and you've never been exposed to another language, you wouldn't be saying that what you speak is bad, because it's a comparative. If it is bad, something must be good. So, or calling of patois based on how based on how colloquial it is something inherited from the British. The British had a very cruel system. I sometimes wonder if people understand just how cruel slavery was and colonialism, because the British did not want to teach us English because it didn't want us to understand, what they were saying, but they also did not want us to speak patois, to speak our own West African languages, and that is kind of partly responsible for the formation of the Jamaican vernacular, patois, etc. So that was a means of cruelty. Now, when I say certain vowels and certain consonants, if you realize the U is one of the strongest and harshest vowels. Oo, that oo sound. And if you hear someone, for example, say uno in Kingston or more urban areas or developed areas, you would hear more like unu, oo, from someone from rural Jamaica. And that is because that U sound that is very West African, Akan and all those languages, Yoruba, Igbo, that U sound, when I say softened, it seems as if something was wrong with it. That U sound has become influenced by the British. And that's why whenever I do my videos on Upper Sinanjo, if you take your time and listen to the Upper Sinanjo is where the Jamaican, the West African vernacular meets the British, and that's why it sounds like, if you slow down people who talk Upper Sinanjo like this, it kinda sounds British. Now, so when you hear words like ooh and sounds like K, if somebody say somebody in regular Jamaican, say the average Jamaican says come here, and someone from Kingston says come here, the K in rural Jamaica would sound stronger, because K's and M's and G's are very strong consonants. These sounds are very strong sounds in West African vernacular. So whenever someone says gimme it, gimme it, a regular person will say gimme, but someone from deep rural Jamaica will say gimme, because it still takes on the sound of a strong G and a strong I and a strong M, because it has had less interaction with other languages and other forms of speech. The O is also a very strong sound, that O, compared to O, a kind of softer O. And I was on live the other day. I was watching a TikTok video, and I heard someone from St. Elizabeth talking about words that people don't know, and she mentioned ben, and she said out of all the words that on the list, she liked that less. But I understand why people like be and way or de less, because they sound more colloquial and more Jamaican and African influence. And it's so sad that is the words and the sounds which are most African that we are most ashamed of. That is basically the interaction of English and Patois per se. So whenever someone's, for example, I'm gonna say, for example, me I go down there go look if me see, you know, the pitney them. That's how regular speech it would be, you know, across the board. Me I go down there go look if me see the pitney them, you know. But this the lighter sounds of these vowels, it's because it's in the metropolitan areas, or you know, overall the Jamaican average speech has been influenced by other languages. But if somebody from deep rural says the same thing, I'm not going to change the words. I'm going to use the same thing. Me I go down there go look pan, I look for the pick them. Me I go down there fi go look pan the pickney them. It's the same thing. I didn't change any words, you know. Me I go down there go look for the pickney them is the standard, you know, or more Kingston centric, you know, or average. But if you go deeper in Jamaica, somebody say me, you know, the M is stronger and the I is stronger. So me compared to me, compared to go, in compared to go, dong compared to dong, de compared to de, look compared to look, fi, you know, compared to fi, di compared to di, pitney compared to pitney, and them versus them. So me I go down there if I go look for pitney them. So the reason why these words are sound like that, because the formation of the words includes more of the use of the tongue and the mouth in pronunciation. A lot of British words aren't pronounced with the strength and vigor of West African pronunciation. They're lighter. French words also are lighter. So all this influence of French, British, Scottish, English, Chinese, Indian, all these languages come together, change the sound of the pronunciation for the overall Jamaican population. But someone from deep rural Jamaica who would not be around these people as much, that is why their accent is like that. So it's not because they're not smart or because they're unintelligent or because they're dark. It's because people speak based on their environment. The languages we speak and how we speak aren't based on intelligence, you know. I'm often asked as a multilingual what my favorite language is. I say Patois, because Patois provides that level of color that no other language provides. I believe that color comes from the pronunciation of those vowels, the o, a, e, I, o, u, and a and a k and a g. And these strengthen these vowels kind of give the words more vigor and more flavor, as opposed to speaking these words without much strength. And that is how colonialism and slavery has shaped what it means to be formal and informal and speaking properly or chat bad, because we have accepted as a nation that the proper and the formal way to speak is to speak like our masters. Adopting the speech of our masters is what we think success is. And as such, we have marginalized groups of people based on how they speak and call them dunks. Piece of patty flout on my mouth. People often ask me like, oh, you travel so much and you speak so many languages, how come you still have your Jamaican accent? And that's because I've intentionally kept my Jamaican accent. Mind you, I don't sound like how I sounded growing up in Northwest Clarendon. You know, that was a different person, and that happened over time, not because I tried. But if I go back now to Smithville, me can't. You know, if I go back to Smithville now, me can't start like somebody from Smithville. You hear it? So that is basically why they sound different. People from deep rural Jamaica have had less contact with people and other languages and other ethnicities. So the pronunciation toolbox that they have, which is predominantly West African, which also is a variety of pronunciations, but you know, under the umbrella of West African languages, very diverse, is how come they sound the way they do. Nothing unintelligent, nothing dark, nothing dunce. It's just because the way they speak is the way they speak. And people from Kingston and other areas speak the way they do because their African pronunciation and tongue has been influenced by the sounds they've heard from their other people. So please, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment, as I have more of this content to come. Have a great day, guys. Bye.